Hello and welcome back, and if this garish sign isn't enough to give you a clue, I'm here at the UniFi World Conference here in London. Now, we're going to learn a lot about UniFi's plans moving forward, some of the pre-existing stuff they have here in the room. I'm sure there's some B-roll on screen, but alongside that we're going to be learning about this brand's vision for the future, what Ubiquiti are moving forward. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more NAS. I want to see more on routers and some of that 5G stuff, but ultimately it does look like there's a lot of new surveillance kit coming up. Throughout the course of this video, I'll share what I can. There's going to be some of it that I can't realistically. But moving forward, let's find out what exactly Ubiquiti have got in mind for their UniFi products moving forward into 2026. The fact this next segment in the video is playing underneath a loudspeaker would normally annoy the hell out of me. However, it actually does underline a certain point about this product that's worth discussing. Now, over this side, we can see some UniFi switches, some gateway stuff, some management. And let's be realistic, they are deployed all over the gap. However, last week, the brand unveiled this, the Pro AV series. This is focusing very specifically on audio and video, synchronicity as well, and timed output. So think about when you saw that Taylor Swift gig. It's okay, you can be honest, we win. And when you did go to that gig, all of those speakers, all of those effects, all of that having a ones is real world data. And unlike the traditional management of day-to-day packets of data, it is very specialized that one, it all has to be delivered without any kind of inconsistency, but also at the same damn time, which is where this comes in. Because this is precisely geared by your own behest towards audio and video. You've also got the AV Pro boxes, which support both audio and video. So it's HDMI in and out, as well as audio in and out, allowing for that more specialized and more tailored data delivery en masse at Stadia level. Now, again, I'm looking through my notes as I go through this. Time-sensitive networks isn't really something a lot of us are going to be worrying about. And audio visuals being delivered via a switch isn't unusual. Let's be honest, anyone that's ever done a boring Teams call from upstairs to downstairs is going to know that these can do a job, but en masse, at scale, and at the same damn time, I get it. And the fact that they are integrating its own software interface within the UniFi system, and at the same time, it managing the majority of applications that a standalone existing switch or Dream Machine gateway style device from UniFi can do, is only a good thing. It's not going to be for everyone, but I will say right now, colour me impressed. Next up, something I feel like I've talked about a dozen times already this year, this bad boy right here, the UniFi Dream Machine Beast. Again, still not sure how I feel about that name. Now, there's not much more I can talk about really. I just wanted to kind of show that it is here. We've already talked about the ports and connections, the 10 gig, the 25 gig, the SATA storage. Interestingly though, it's more about a little bit more information that has appeared about it. So for example, we can support up to 7,500 clients, but on top of that, the CPU that's inside. Now they're moving towards that Neoverse style of process there. Still ARM, but highly more capable, and this is something that looks like UniFi are going to spread out more towards the rest of the range there. We're still looking for confirmation on pricing on this device, but I do think it's going to be interesting to see this when it becomes more universally available. Because another thing I kind of half talked about on the previous video is to do with what they're classifying as standard, what they're classifying as pro, what's happening to the roof above that, the core, the XG and stuff like that. Now what we're seeing is the term pro being thrown around in line with 25 gig. That's making 10 gigabit networking become pretty much the standard, something that a number of us have been hoping for a number of years. And more we're seeing 100 gig connections become fairly common at that enterprise level. I remember when 100 gig was data center minimum. But as the lines come down, things like the Beast start to appear, which may scale up quite significantly in terms of the hardware and connectivity, but it's actually not that big a jump. It's only when you compare it against things like the Core series where suddenly this thing starts to make a greater deal more sense in the product family and those tiers. So by enterprise and core, it's what we're talking about here. Things like this, the enterprise campus core, which is rocking out with quite an incredible 100 gig selection of ports and connections. Now that scales up even further which leads more so into the scaled up alternative to the Beast, and this is the Enterprise Fortress Gateway Core. We talked about this before on the other video, but let's really dig down into that. With 10 gig networking fairly standard across the 8 ports, introducing the 25 gig port and then into the 100 gig, this is the point I'm making right now in terms of connectivity being bridged between Pro, Standard and Enterprise there at the top. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know that I'm something of a sucker for a mobile router, a mobile NAS, well, a mobile anything. It's good to be on the move. You may be familiar with this. This is their industrial mobile router here, and it's a Sim LTE, depending on where you are in the world. But this is a 5G version. I almost walked past it without realizing it was there. It utilizes the same design as the predecessor unit there. Well, I'm trying to break this to remove the base. So it's powered via PoE input there, so it's got a couple of different CAT connections there, but crucially, it is that Sim 5G connector there based at the bottom. There's also the alternate power input as well for those pretty much remote deployments there at the back of warehouses and stuff like that. Again, with a USB-C input as well for power. I'd be really intrigued to know if they're going to scale up the capabilities of that USB Type-C input there. But still, nonetheless, it's nice to see that 5G integration from this brand getting better and better. For example, well, there's this. Now, those that are deep within the UniFi eco have been waiting for this for a while. This is the 5G backup there. It looks very simple. It is effectively a SIM card with an antenna attached there. But for those that have been deploying a lot more of the pre-existing UniFi gateways, UniFi routers and such, this is quite a useful little cheeky device here to get that extra layer of failover, the advantages you can get from 5G. It's nowhere near as mobile, adjacent as the device we just talked about there, but still nonetheless, this is an important item for a lot of people that have already been expanding to that next wave of their UniFi deployments. So again, it's not much to look at, but for a SIM card with an LCD and an antenna attached, it's actually pretty bloody impressive. Which brings me to arguably one of the other bigger subjects here during the UniFi World Conference that sadly I can't really show you with anything snazzy on the table, and that's fabrics. Now, this is something UniFi had already kind of launched and shown off on their own YouTube channel a matter of days ago, and ultimately this is, I think calling it a revamp wouldn't be enough. It's next level. It's Site Manager on crack. It's ultimately their eventual path towards a single pane of glass that can manage everything with very clear workflows there. If you had to kind of say what was the biggest buzzword here at this show, it's scale. They are clearly looking at their portfolio. They've seen that they've got all of the dominoes in place. They're looking to try and knock them down. So what is Fabric in our ultimate scheme of things? It's about, I'm going to go through my notes, ultimately, it's multi-site management with ease. It is multi-system user with ease, with delegation and creative control of those users and creating profiles either on the fly or ones that you can very quickly switch people around. Multi-platform access, and by platform, I don't just mean UniFi assets, I mean third-party PaaS and SaaS systems, all under the control of that single Fabric interface. On top of that, multiple policies. An integration of Protect was particularly interesting. Decided that down the road, managing multiple Protect setups, and case in point, say a person you don't want anywhere near any of your multiple sites, the fact that all of that control, but let alone all of that input, is aggregated. So you can say, if this user in this car arrives, you can say this person is persona non grata, and it is effective across a multi-site deployment like that. Alongside that, multiple rules across the systems where you can gauge them up and down and be reflective of multiple devices. That isn't something that wasn't strictly possible via Site Manager, but it was a way bigger job. And in terms of the finicky bits in between, that's really what Fabric is. It is about the whole area of control and management integrated a great deal better and intuitively. Next up, let's talk about surveillance, because let's be realistic, UniFi, amongst its many varied portfolio items, has got a huge range in terms of surveillance. And now I want to talk about the Edge equipment here. We've got two Edge cameras here, the Edge turret and the Edge dome. These form part of a newer generation of cameras that are designed more than any other camera for singular deployments. And by singular, by the way, I don't just mean one camera, I mean multiple cameras all over the gaff, but without the need of things like an AI key or a larger NVR. These are trying to cram as much of that hardware centrally inside there. So for example, Edge AI cameras aren't new really, but the level and extent to what you can do in the terms of Edge AI improvements is actually quite limited and generally requires the host NVR system to do a lot of the offload, a lot of the AI stuff with like license plate recognition and actual facial recognition, not just the shape of people, remembering databases and more. These are being designed towards integrating some of those features of the AI key directly into it with an improved image processor built in as well. Now, the variations of these cameras, it sounds like they're going to start integrating Edge versions of the majority of their camera ranges where it can be appropriate. And it's going to be interesting to see just how many of the cameras, as you can see here, are actually going to be integrated into that lineup, and just what the benefits they are going to bring compared with traditional cameras being deployed alongside a Protect-ready system or a standalone NVR there. Ultimately, this combined a lot of their innovations on the other side of the room, which hopefully there's some stock footage on screen, allowing you to bridge some legacy alarm systems, legacy cameras, legacy sensors and more into UniFi systems with these bridging mechanics in the middle, and therefore allowing you to slowly migrate over, spreading the cost quite significantly, is going to be very appealing to some. And again, the idea that you're going to be able to take advantage of some of these Edge AI cameras and enjoy some of the benefits without the larger overhead of a bigger system, both in terms of power and in terms of price, can only be a good thing. And that's it, the end of the UniFi World Conference London, with France and Germany to follow. But what did we learn? Well, we've seen a lot of innovation and spanning out in terms of scale. We already talked about that there, and certainly some of the upgrades in terms of the way they want their system to facilitate more than just traditional data and moving towards audio, visual and more. I'm sad there wasn't more NAS, let's be honest. There are things that I can't talk about. Anyone that's attended these events will know that behind the curtain, we're not allowed to make recordings. But still, I would have liked to have seen more NAS, and certainly my hopes towards a follow-up on the UTR and expansion perhaps of that travel router, I didn't see anything like that today. But I got to give them credit. The expansion on scale, the sheer amount of hardware I'm seeing towards 100 gig and normalizing 25 gig, that still surprises me. And the fact that 10 GBE is now largely being considered the gateway bandwidth choice is only a good thing. That alongside greater deployments of PoE and the accessories and the integrations that take advantage of PoE plus and plus is only a great thing. But let's talk about this more in the comments. If you're at the UniFi World Conference in the rest of Europe or maybe in the US coming up soon, then let's talk about this in the comments. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. There's links in the description to lots of stuff, but apart from that, I'll see you next time.